Evelyn DeMarco stood by the full-length window of her penthouse, the glittering skyline of the city stretching endlessly before her. At 45, she had achieved what most only dreamed of, a career as CEO of Synectra, the most influential tech company of the decade, with products revolutionizing industries from finance to healthcare. Beneath her feet, the city buzzed with activity, its rhythm matching the pulse of her relentless drive. Her world was immaculate, curated to perfection. The penthouse, with its glass walls and minimalist elegance, was a reflection of her precise nature. Her husband, Liam, was the perfect complement, charming and urbane, a man who could effortlessly engage anyone from senators to CEOs at her gala events. And then there was Marcus, her younger brother and CFO of Synectra, a financial genius whose loyalty she never doubted. Together, they were an unstoppable force, family at the helm of a global empire. The evening of Synectra's 15th anniversary gala was no different. Evelyn moved gracefully through the crowd of industry titans, each interaction purposeful. Crystal chandeliers bathed the grand ballroom in golden light, while champagne flutes clinked in celebration of her vision. She delivered her keynote address with her signature poise, seamlessly blending ambition with sincerity. Applause followed her every word, reinforcing the narrative of her unassailable success. But as the evening wore on, something gnawed at her instincts. Liam seemed distracted, his usual magnetism dimmed by an odd nervousness. He laughed at the right moments, made polite conversation, but his eyes darted around the room as if searching for an exit. It wasn't the first time she had noticed this hesitation in recent months, but tonight it was undeniable. Marcus, too, seemed out of sorts. He lingered at the bar longer than usual, avoiding her gaze. When she approached him, his smile was tight, his responses clipped. Evelyn's analytical mind began to churn. Marcus had always been her right hand, the one who anticipated her needs and executed her strategies without fail. His sudden aloofness was out of character, and Evelyn couldn't ignore the faint alarm bells ringing in her head. As the gala drew to a close, Evelyn found herself retreating to a quiet corner, her gaze sweeping the room. Synectra's recent troubles were a shadow she couldn't shake. Data breaches, erratic stock prices, and rumors of insider sabotage. She had been chalking them up to external forces, but tonight the uneasy puzzle pieces began to assemble. The final crack in her polished world came when she caught Marcus and Liam exchanging a look, brief but telling. There was something unsaid between them, a shared tension that sent a chill through her. Evelyn's gift had always been her ability to read people, to see beyond the surface to the truth hidden beneath. Tonight, that gift was a curse. The gala ended with a toast to the future of Synectra, but Evelyn's mind was already elsewhere. Beneath the glittering facade of success, she sensed betrayal brewing, and for the first time in years, her confidence faltered. Evelyn DeMarco was no stranger to challenges, but this felt personal, and she was determined to uncover the truth. Evelyn sat in her home office the morning after the gala, her mind racing as she stared at Synectra's financial records. The room, usually a sanctuary of order, now felt suffocating. Reports lay sprawled across her desk. Monitors displayed spreadsheets and graphs revealed troubling trends. The pattern was undeniable: irregular withdrawals and wire transfers to offshore accounts, amounts small enough to evade routine audits, but significant when aggregated. Her gut churned. The authorizations bore Marcus's signature. At first, Evelyn dismissed it as a mistake. Marcus was methodical to a fault, but even the best of them slipped up. Yet, as she combed through the records, she saw the transactions weren't isolated incidents. They formed a chain, each link connecting to companies with nebulous identities. It was clear someone was siphoning Synectra's wealth under her watch. By midday, she confronted Marcus in his office. The Synectra headquarters, a modernist marvel of steel and glass, felt unusually cold. Marcus's office mirrored his personality, sleek, understated, and immaculate. But as Evelyn stepped inside, she noted signs of disorder. A half-drunk coffee sat abandoned on his desk, and folders were stacked haphazardly, a glaring contrast to his usual precision. "Marcus," Evelyn began, closing the door firmly behind her, "I've found some discrepancies in the accounts. Transactions I can't explain." Marcus looked up, his expression betraying only a flicker of alarm before he settled into practiced calm. "Eve, you're imagining things. These are standard diversifications, a part of Synectra's financial strategy." Eve leaned against his desk, her eyes fixed on his. "Don't lie to me. These aren't diversifications, they're misappropriations, and your name is on them." Marcus shifted uncomfortably, his facade cracking. "Look, I don't have time to get into this. Just trust me, all right? I'll fix it." But Evelyn didn't trust him. Her instincts screamed that there was more to the story. For the first time, doubt crept into her relationship with her brother, a bond she had always considered unshakable. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Evelyn spent the following nights poring over documents. Her mind, sharp from years of corporate battles, began to uncover a tangled web of deceit. The deeper she dug, the more connections she found. Encrypted emails between Marcus and a rival company, coded communications that hinted at industrial espionage. Her heart sank further when she discovered Liam's involvement. His name appeared in correspondence regarding a high-profile real estate purchase. It seemed unrelated at first, but when Evelyn dug into the details, she found the property's title listed under Clara Harper, her best friend. The betrayal cut deep. Liam had been funneling money into the purchase, while Synectra bled from within. Clara's inclusion added another layer of treachery. The woman Evelyn had trusted implicitly was entangled in the scheme, complicit in undermining everything she had worked for. Evelyn closed her laptop, her hands trembling. Her world wasn't just cracking, it was crumbling. She realized she wasn't just dealing with corporate betrayal, this was personal, and the stakes were higher than ever. Evelyn had always been a strategist, but now the game was far more dangerous. Yes, Killian DeMarco was a master of restraint, while her instincts urged her to confront Liam and Marcus immediately. She knew better than to act rashly. She knew better than to feel made mistakes when they felt cornered, and she needed her enemies to feel secure, complacent enough to expose themselves fully. The corporate retreat, scheduled the week after the gala, offered the perfect setting for Evelyn to begin unraveling the web. Held at a secluded mountain lodge, the retreat promised team-building exercises and strategy sessions. Evelyn ensured that both Marcus and Liam were in attendance, playing the roles of dutiful CFO and supportive husband, respectively. Clara, ever the loyal friend, was also invited under the guise of a social addition to the event. Evelyn had spent the prior week preparing. She hired private investigators to gather concrete evidence and cybersecurity experts to monitor Marcus's and Liam's digital activity. Every communication they sent and every financial maneuver they made was recorded and analyzed. The pieces were coming together, and with each revelation, Evelyn's resolve hardened. At the retreat, Evelyn orchestrated a team-building exercise where attendees had to collaborate on solving hypothetical crises. She deliberately paired Marcus and Liam, subtly planting a seed of discomfort by casually mentioning Clara's name during their group's presentation. "Clara would love this setting," she said with a smile. Liam's face flushed, and Marcus's hand twitched, betraying his tension. Their reaction was all the confirmation she needed that Clara wasn't merely a fringe player in their conspiracy. That evening, Evelyn executed the next phase of her plan. With a portable drive concealed in her bag, she accessed Liam's laptop under the pretense of needing to print a document. Thanks to spyware installed weeks earlier, she retrieved real-time evidence of their betrayal. The emails were damning, detailed instructions for transferring Sinectra's patents and intellectual property to a competitor, timelines for false accusations against Evelyn, and references to the real estate deal involving Clara. But one email stood out, sent from Marcus to Liam just days before the retreat. It read, "Keep Evelyn distracted. Clara is already setting up the final pieces. Once she's out, we can move forward without interference." The casual tone of their treachery sickened her, but it also fueled her determination. Throughout the retreat, Evelyn observed her supposed allies with renewed clarity. Liam's forced charm now seemed hollow, his stolen glances at his phone evidence of guilt. Marcus, once her trusted confidant, now radiated betrayal. Throughout the retreat, Liam's presence, meant to be a comforting constant, now radiated betrayal. At the retreat's final night, Evelyn joined the group for a casual dinner by the fire. With her trademark poise, she laughed at jokes and shared stories, all while cataloguing the dynamics between her betrayers. They had no idea the web they had spun around them, every thread a strand of evidence Evelyn would soon use to pull their world apart. The next morning, Evelyn left the retreat with more than memories. She carried the final pieces of proof she needed to dismantle their conspiracy. The storm was coming, and she was ready to unleash it. Evelyn's return from the corporate retreat marked the beginning of her meticulously planned counterstrike. For days, she remained outwardly calm, keeping up appearances while working relentlessly behind the scenes. Her days were spent in board meetings and public engagements, but her nights were dedicated to unraveling the conspiracy that sought to destroy her. She assembled a trusted team of cybersecurity experts and legal advisors, carefully chosen for their discretion and expertise. Every piece of evidence she'd gathered was reviewed, analyzed, and cross-referenced. The scope of the betrayal was staggering. Marcus's financial misconduct ran deeper than she'd initially thought, with stolen funds channeled not only to the rival conglomerate, but also to personal accounts shared with Liam. Clara, meanwhile, had brokered deals with real estate firms to ensure the new properties were shielded from Sinectra's legal reach. Evelyn's next move was to secure Sinectra's intellectual property. She invoked emergency protocols, transferring critical patents and proprietary information to a secure server accessible only to her. This action raised suspicion within the company, but Evelyn skillfully deflected questions, citing cybersecurity concerns amid recent data breaches. Her goal was clear: strip her enemies of their leverage before they realized she was onto them. The confrontation was staged at her penthouse during a seemingly ordinary family dinner. Evelyn invited Marcus, Liam, and Clara, each believing her oblivious to their schemes. The dining room was a masterpiece of understated elegance, with flickering candles and a panoramic view of the city skyline. The setting belied the storm brewing beneath Evelyn's composed exterior. As they settled in, Evelyn maintained a pleasant demeanor, guiding the conversation toward trivial topics. But as the evening progressed, she began to subtly steer the discussion. "You know," she mused, swirling her wine, "it's incredible how much trust plays a role in both business and relationships." Her words hung in the air, laden with unspoken meaning. Marcus shifted in his seat, avoiding her gaze. Liam chuckled nervously, and Clara sipped her wine, her composure faltering for the first time. When the main course was cleared, Evelyn leaned forward, her expression turning cold. "I've been working on something special," she said, sliding a folder across the table. I think you'll all find it enlightening." Liam hesitated before opening the folder. His face drained of color as he scanned the documents. Emails, financial transactions, and photos implicating all three of them. Marcus grabbed it next, his reaction no less damning. Clara froze, her carefully cultivated poise crumbling. "You'll regret this, Evaldi," Marcus stammered, his voice shaking. "Oh, I don't think so," Evelyn replied, her tone icy. "You've underestimated me for the last time." The knock at the door interrupted the tense silence. Federal agents entered, their presence as unexpected to her conspirators as it was deliberate to Evelyn. As Marcus and Liam were escorted out in handcuffs, Clara tried to slip away. Evelyn blocked her path, her voice razor-sharp. "You!" she said, with the biggest disappointment of all. The reckoning had come, swift and calculated. Evelyn had delivered justice with the same precision that had built her empire, and she wasn't finished yet. The night of the reckoning left Evelyn standing alone in her penthouse, the city lights stretching endlessly below her. She had won, her enemies exposed, their schemes unraveled. But the victory felt hollow. The silence that enveloped her was heavy, broken only by the distant hum of traffic. Senectra was safe, but her personal life lay in ruins. The betrayal by those she loved most had cut deeper than she could have anticipated. In the weeks that followed, Evelyn threw herself into rebuilding her company. Senectra's stock rebounded sharply after her decisive actions against Marcus and Liam, bolstered by the public narrative of a resolute leader protecting her empire. The rival conglomerate, exposed for its role in the espionage, faced federal investigations that crippled its operations. Evelyn's triumph in the business world was unassailable, but the personal cost remained. Liam's betrayal haunted her, not because of the affair itself, but because of the trust she had placed in him. Clara's role stung even more. Her best friend had weaponized their closeness to enable the conspiracy. Evelyn's ability to read people, her greatest strength, had failed her in the relationships that mattered most. There was a bitter irony. Just when Evelyn believed the dust was settling, an anonymous tip arrived at her private email. The message was brief but chilling. "You've only uncovered the surface. The real players are still in the shadows." Attached was a dossier outlining yet another layer to the conspiracy. A hat, one that went beyond Marcus, Liam, and Clara. The documents pointed to a secretive board member with ties to Senectra's earliest investors. This individual had been quietly orchestrating moves against Evelyn for years, manipulating events to undermine her control of the company. Even Marcus and Liam's betrayal seemed to have been nudged along by this unseen hand. Evelyn's fury reignited. She had thought the game was over, but now it was clear that the stakes were even higher. The web of betrayal stretched deeper than she'd realized, and her enemies were more insidious. This time, she resolved to operate in absolute secrecy. Quietly, Evelyn began assembling another team of experts, cybersecurity specialists, private investigators, and forensic accountants. She funneled resources into tracking the board members' activities, ensuring no detail was overlooked. The further they dug, the darker the conspiracy became. Hidden shell companies, offshore accounts, and coded communications revealed a plot that wasn't just about Senectra. It was about dismantling her influence entirely. One evening, Evelyn stood on her penthouse balcony, a glass of wine in hand, reflecting on the path ahead. The city that once seemed a testament to her success now felt like a battlefield. But this time she was prepared. She had learned the cost of trust and the power of secrecy. As she gazed at the skyline, Evelyn's determination solidified. She wasn't just fighting for Senectra anymore. She was fighting for her legacy, her reputation, and her ability to determine her own fate. The first battle had ended, but the war was far from over. Evelyn DeMarco was just getting started.